got disbanded, and IO Labs, at least in the article, said we're going to pick up a lot of those pieces. So Brian, just a quick rundown of what IO Labs wants to do, because it sounds like there's a lot that you're trying to tackle.
Yeah, so IO Labs is basically broken out into 4 different parts. You've got the co-working space, which is one of the easiest ways to get engaged. But actually, before I even talk about that, I'm going to take a bigger step back. IO was founded on a really simple principle. The principle being that in conversations with Brandon Weber, who's the founder and CEO of IO, myself, a few others, as we began, we're all globophiles, if you will. We tend to travel quite a bit. We go to a lot of co-working spaces. In my case, for my job, in Brandon's case, because he's fascinated by co-working spaces in general. And we started really taking a look at what is it that makes an innovation economy? What is it that makes it effective? And we realized that there's a bunch of different types of innovation economies out there, and that each one needs different things to succeed. There's really 3 different tiers. So, well, there's one tier that doesn't exist, which is you have no tech talent at all, and then there's not much to be done about that, other than trying to recruit it in. At the bottom is a tier 1, and tier 1 means that there's more capital than there is talent. And what that means is that the talent has to be a lot more courageous in going after the capital. There's usually a lot more convincing that needs to happen, because the capital has the pick of the litter. They can choose anybody that they want, because there's a lot more of it than there is talent. The second tier is when the talent and the tech are equal. Hong Kong is a great example of this as a city. It means everybody's about one person disconnected from somebody who can actually invest in their company. The flip side of that is it means that competition isn't very harsh. And so if you look at Hong Kong, amazing tech talent, but one interesting thing about it is they've never had a unicorn. In fact, they've never even gotten close. Their biggest valuations tend to be exits in the $50 to $70 million range. Now, I'm not saying $50 to $70 million wouldn't be great, but from a tech community standpoint, you want to be able to point to something and say, that's us, that's why we're here, that's what we're there. The top tier is tier 3, and there's only 5 cities like this in the world. It's where talent actually is more than capital. It means that talent has to work even harder to actually get invested in. There's only 5 of these: Silicon Valley, New York, London, Tel Aviv, Singapore. That's it. You're not one of those 5. That's why they are the top 5 tech communities globally. There is more talent than there is capital. The talent has to work even harder. The competition is even more powerful. And because of all of that, it means that the top ones tend to rise to the top. You tend to have those unicorns that come out, those multi-billion-dollar groups. Sacramento, where it stands now, is a tier 1 city. So it means that there is more capital than there is talent. That's actually a good thing. I would prefer to work with a tier 1 city than a tier 2 city, because there's a lot more that we can do. It means that talent has to be focused on going after capital. It means that the capital that exists needs to be able to see clearly that they're being de-risked, that the investment that they're looking at is being de-risked, that they're able to easily bring that to the case of an investment firm, their LPs, or the case of single high net worth, that they're easily able to say, this is where our money is going to go. It means the tech has to work a little harder, but it means that they can get a lot more out of it. So if that's where we stand, what does Sacramento need to be effective? And the one thing that we saw over and over for tier 1 cities, and there's a lot of these, by the way, Sydney, Australia, I just got back on Saturday, a great example of this. What it means is that there needs to be a central focal point. There needs to be a central space where everybody can point to and either say, yes, that's one of the main areas, or they can come in, whether it's for a day or an hour or a week or a month, and can get engaged and can get excited about the population around them, that there's all the different resources that they need to be successful. SARTA was an amazing start for this. It was the thing that for the last 15 years, if not more, that everybody in the community could say, you went to a SARTA event, and they had these resources, and they had these amazing things. IO is in some ways just the next step of what SARTA began. It's bringing together the community, it's getting them engaged from an innovation standpoint, it's giving them the talents and the resources and the education to take their ideas to the next level, and if they make it all the way to the top, it's actually giving them investment to move through and become a real powerful startup in their space. So how do we do that? There's 4 different ways. 1, we have co-working. We're all familiar with co-working. Hacker Lab has some great co-working. This is just one of the ways in which we can start to bring the community together and say, we've got a desk, why don't you come in and see what it's all about. The next one is our foundation, the nonprofit foundation, which is actually where the Rails grant is going towards, the $250,000 already mentioned. And that's specifically to focus on building up people's skill sets. So maybe you're a tech person and you've never run a business before. We're going to be running classes that can help teach you how to run a business, the legal side, the business side, the numbers side that maybe you've never thought of. Or let's flip that. Maybe you are a non-tech person who wants to run a tech startup, but you don't have tech skills. We're going to be running classes teaching you on a lot of the different things on whether it's how to program or how to think like a programmer or how to hire a programmer or how to hire a CTO as a co-founder. There's a bunch of different things. The key there is leveling yourself up as a founder to turn yourself into something great. So that's the two sides. We have the co-working and then we have the foundation. The next side is the incubation program. Now, the term incubator and accelerator gets thrown around a lot. There's one key difference between the two: funding. An incubator is when somebody says, you have a great idea. We want to give you resources. We want to give you network. We want to give you an amazing group of people who can help take your idea from 0 to 1, as Peter Thiel says, from idea into reality. But that's just one part of it. The final kind of peak of the triangle is the accelerator program. And the accelerator program is where we say, not only do you have a good idea, we're actually going to invest in you. We're going to actually be able to put out money, and we want to invest into your startup to be able to take your idea all the way to the end. So there's an actual monetary investment. So we're really excited about the accelerator program. There's some details I can get into on it. There's some that I have to be a little bit less open on just for now as we're finalizing things. But we're really excited because we based it off of not just what makes it competitive in this market, but what makes it competitive globally. So we can actually point to and say this is from the moment it opens up, we'll be able to say it's a globally competitive program, and we'll be working with partners from AngelHack, from others, that'll be sourcing people from around the globe. So that is a little bit more about IO.
Thanks, Emery. Okay.